will say I don't see James here. His wife is expecting. Hopefully, if that's the case, it's good news and everything is, everyone is happy. So we may have to skip on that one. But if Tim, Pamela, and Amy can come on up, we can go ahead and begin this first session. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Somebody's controlling this. Somebody, oh, I turned it on. It's okay. It goes immediately to the slides. Okay. Well, maybe there's something down at the bottom that we do. We have to select the.
Give us one moment.
Oh, good. Yeah, Tim Michaels, Energy Resources Group, founded the company in 1975, and we chase BTUs and watts. Today, I want to talk about a tremendous need to shift our paradigms, our operating paradigms. Past paradigms have not produced the results we want, so they're not likely to get us out of the same mess they got us into. So I believe that's the definition of insanity. New strategic thought processes are needed to unleash the solutions that are already here. Unfortunately, they're being ignored or often policy thwarted. Okay, so the first step in getting to net zero is to unleash energy efficiency. Doing just what is cost effective at today's cost of energy, we can unleash a $3 trillion market in the US that will deliver energy efficiency with a 4-year payback for business and a 6-year payback for individuals. So as a society, we need to be doubling down on this bet to cost effectively eliminate almost 30% of the current energy use. With climate denial having held sway with policymakers, it will be up to us, the little people, to make this happen at the grassroots. We can't wait on them. I hope this bankrupt policy of denial is on its way out, but even if it is, we still need to be strong advocates that drive the compelling value proposition. You don't need to waste your energy dollars. Invest in yourself, own your own utility assets. No new technology, positive returns on investment, jobs. Energy efficiency is a high value tool for local economic development. Note well, you and I, we pay for energy with our after-tax dollars, not like corporations. They get to deduct the cost of energy. Investing in ourselves to reduce our energy bills will make a big difference in our individual cash flows. Where else can you invest your money and get a guaranteed 16+ rate of return on investment after tax? Okay, the collective impact of doing this is generating 3.5 million jobs that can be sustained over 10 years. Remember, this is just waste that we're attacking, and we don't have to wait for new technology. This market will only get more robust and sustainable as costs continue to rise, energy costs, that is. This is an economic development dream that enhances our overall domestic energy security. think of what happened when Russia invaded Ukraine. Okay? We just have to do it. It's there waiting for us. Okay. Can we advance? Something's not going on. Well, oh, thank you. To examine how cost-effective going to net zero can be, we'll look at the economics of Kimmswick 1, a home that Jordan Hyman and I built in 2007 to demonstrate what we thought was state-of-the-art at the time. It's a 3,000 square foot all-electric home designed with some passive solar features, and its cooling load, think carefully now, 3,000 square feet is 1.5 tons. 2,000 square foot per ton, easily achievable, okay? Now, the sustainable features involved include using insulated concrete forms, that's about an R of 40, and it's safer and more durable. Putting in a ground source heat pump, which we just talked about, but we had to upsize the ground source heat pump to 2 tons. So now we're only 1,500 square foot a ton because we needed a de-superheater in it that would give us 2/3 of the domestic hot water from the heat rejected by the compressor in the summer. We installed, because the insulated concrete forms are so tight, airtight, we installed a central energy recovery ventilator on the toilets, but we recovered 50% of the energy that was required to treat the outdoor air. Okay? We have our passive solar design features, which focus a lot of the glass on the south side so we could capture it in the winter. And we installed vacancy sensor light switches on 100% compact fluorescence. Today, we would use LEDs. Now, this is a high performance home. It secured LEED Platinum certification and rated at Energy Star 5+. But more than these, the biggest validation we had was the fact that Ameren, Missouri said that we were at the bottom in the consumption of homes in their network. And we're using $65 a month in 2007, and that ended up being 25% less than the average home at a little over $1,000 a year. Okay? So, oops, too fast. Now, this net zero ready home, we evaluated what happened with it, updating things to 2021 construction dollars and operating costs, and showed that the conventional 3,000 square foot frame home would cost $337,000 to build. The premium cost of all the things we just discussed was $33,600 some odd dollars. That's roughly a 10% add to the construction cost of a conventional home. Now, if we had a 30-year mortgage, the net financial impact of that, because we're financing it, is $6,700 because you have to put 20% down of the $33,000 extra that you're financing. However, at the end of year 0, once you started and you go through your tax filing, and I'm assuming if you afford a 3,000 square foot home, you've got enough headroom to take some shelter, you recover $6,900 in federal tax credits and Ameren, Missouri incentives for the ground source heat pump. Now, how do we talk about cost-effective or ROI when doing it right costs you $200 less to build and own? $200 less. Well, I mean, we're dividing by 0 somewhere. Anyway, now going forward, looking at, whoops, wrong button. going forward, we see that the P&I on the base home is about 12,000 and it's about 13,000 on the net zero ready home. So we're already in the whole $900 on an annual basis on the bank payments. However, when you look at your electric costs savings, your home insurance savings, the equipment life cycle cost savings, and the annual maintenance, we're ahead $724 a year. We have to do life cycle costing when we look at these things. We're too narrow-sighted. Okay, so now, you know, you're cash flow positive day one. You know, what more could you want? Less expensive, cash flow positive. So what happens here is that over time, that $774,000 becomes $22,000 less ownership cost over 30 years. So now let's move from the efficiency side of things, which gathered us roughly, you know, the same 28% savings that was shown in that first early slide. Now, we note that the utility bills are plotted for each month here. Well, that's a very interesting scenario. We're using less in the summer than we're using in the winter. That's part of the value of having a ground source heat pump in a well-insulated home with thermal mass. Okay, so anyway, what we look at, you know, we're doing better for the utility companies and for ourselves by shifting our peak from the time of year where we have higher costs and more grid problems to a time of the year when we have lower costs and less grid problems. So I want to, the societal benefits of this are also large. So going forward with this, it's a benefit for the utility company and us as owners. So the recommended amount of solar I would put on this house, net zero, to make it net zero would be, oh, wrong button, 6.5 kilowatts. Not a whole lot for a 3,000 square foot home. But what you see here is that we manage it not overproducing in any one month much more than what we are actually billed. We do this because Ameren has a net metering system that says if you overproduce in any one month, we buy your extra kilowatt hours at 2.5 cents. You don't get the retail rate of 10 to 14 cents a kilowatt hour, depending on what season you're in. So in doing that, we find that putting 6.5 kW on the house generates roughly a 9.8 year payback and a 10% return on investment. Now, we aren't net zero. So the net zero comes in by buying RECs on the market. And RECs right now are significantly less in the voluntary market than 1 cent per kilowatt hour. Now you can claim your net zero. But if we chose to do it on site, what does that mean? Well, let's take a look. That's the old curve. But if we put another 2.5 kW or 38% more solar on this house, and I want to underscore, it's almost a 40% add. We end up producing just enough to take over the annual, because now we're able to move the extra capacity that we're producing to fill the RECs areas that we bought. So in doing that, under the current terms of Ameren, we end up dropping our payback from 9.8 years, it increases to 11.6, and we drop from 10% return on investment to 8.6. Not a big deal, but we could still hope for more. We could hope for what we've got in Illinois. Oh, well, that's nice. So thank you. Anyway, in Ameren, Illinois, they actually pay you 15 years of RECs and they front load that into the first 5 years. So in Illinois, you end up with roughly a 2.5 to 3 year payback or a 40% return on investment. And now in either of these scenarios, you're 100% site. Now, what is an important thing to understand, if Ameren, Missouri truly wants to foster a more robust distributed energy resources infrastructure using things like solar, it should alter its net metering policy to true up customers in Missouri annually. This would increase solar installs 40%. And the greater societal benefit is we reduce carbon dioxide production that same 40%. Now, with that societal benefit that reduces the carbon, such a policy change could be used by Ameren to enhance their ESG credentials. Okay. Oh, so I'm here. No, one more. So now I hope we've demonstrated it's not only cost effective, it should be felt as cost compelled to do this. You're getting paid to do it, in effect. Okay? So it's in our hands. It's up to us. Thank you. Next. Is that you?
Good morning. That was really great. Thank you, Tim. It's really nice to see everyone. My name is Pamela Brookstein, and I am with Elevate Energy. We're a nonprofit that's based in the city of Chicago, but we work nationally. We design and implement programs to help people use less energy. At Elevate, I am one out of 170 people that works in the real estate space. And what I try to do is make sure that high-performing homes that give people a better experience just because of the way that they've been improved, that those homes are valued for more at the time of sale and refinance. So I get to do a couple of really fun things in this space at Elevate. I've designed a couple real estate agent continuing education courses, and I get to teach those courses. One is on solar and one is on energy efficiency or high performing homes. And those classes are specifically written for real estate agents and what they would care about and how they can build their business with this knowledge. So next week, actually, I'll be teaching for the St. Louis Realtors, the East Central Board of Realtors, and the Mineral Area Board of Realtors. So I'll be all over Missouri, which I'm really excited about. And I've taught for the Columbia Board of Realtors in the past, and I get to do this because of funding from MIA and from Pearl Certification. I get to teach hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents a year and talk to them, and I form relationships with them. And so a lot of the work that I do and the recommendations that I make are based on conversations that I have with agents. But I also get to do consumer research. I get to run focus groups, which has been so much fun. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. If you want to take a look at the body of research that we have out right now in this space, you can go here. We have an appraisal study. We have a paper about kind of the actions that the energy efficiency community needs to take if we're going to get to market transformation. And then we have a specific paper, that one in the middle, that took place completely in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So obviously I'm very Midwest focused, but I'm hoping someone is here from California and wants to bring me out. This is really the whole upshot. You can stop paying attention after this. Stakeholders, what they are telling us, and when I'm talking about stakeholders, I'm talking about home buyers, real estate agents, and appraisers. They all want third-party certification and they all want really robust marketing that explain the full range of benefits for high efficiency, full range of benefits outside of energy efficiency. Because as it turns out in our focus groups, people are saying energy efficiency really doesn't mean anything to them, especially when they're going out to buy a home. If you're going to spend the most amount of money on something that you will ever spend, and it's going to be stressful, and the whole process is going to be something you've maybe never done before, you need more than energy efficiency to get you to buy a home. You need, sadly, right now, you need white kitchen cabinets and gray walls and an open floor plan. But this is what the research is all leading us to: third-party certification, marketing materials. So I'm going to talk about one of the findings from one of these studies that we've done. It was commissioned by Pearl Certification, and we had 4 focus groups. We had 2 with real estate agents and 2 with people who were going to be buying a home within the next year. And these were all Chicago-based people. We gave them 2 lists. First, we gave them a list of features. Those are the features that we gave them: open floor plan, finished basement, heat pump. Everyone asked me what a heat pump was. And I said, okay, rank these in order of the things, if it was a home buyer, the things that you want for your next home, like what's really super important for you, rank those in order. People said, how do I rank a heat pump? I'm like, well, if you don't know what it is, you probably don't want it. And so then, and we gave that list to real estate agents too, and said, what would your clients want? So then we gave them a list of benefits for those features, and we asked them to do the same thing. Rank these in order of the things that you would value, that you would want in your home. And everything changed for the home buyers, not for the real estate agents, which is very interesting. So, okay, here's just an example. Feature, heat pump. Here's the benefit: uses significantly less energy, helping you save on utility bills while protecting the environment. So that's what we did for all of the features. Open floor plan, we talked about, now you have flexible space, stainless steel appliances, you look more modern, you have this modern kitchen now. So that's what we did for everything. And here's what happened. Heat pump rating by homeowner. When we gave heat pumps, asked them to put it in the list, 7 out of 7, they ranked it last. When we showed them the benefit, it moved up to 2nd out of 7. That's significant. Here's what happened when we gave that list to real estate agents. No change whatsoever. So you can see there's this big disconnect between what real estate agents think their clients want and what their clients are saying they want once they know the range of benefits. And they're telling us over and over, we want to know all the things. Like, it's nice that it's good for the environment, but I'm not going to pay extra for that. It's just a nice bonus. How is it going to change my experience in this house? So here's, these are the benefits listed, ranking. And for homeowners, heat pumps, attic insulation, air sealing, those all moved up when we gave them benefits. What the agents gave us, it was the exact same list for feature and benefits. So when I teach and I show real estate agents this, it sort of blows their mind a little bit. And we talk a lot about what home buyers are saying. And it's a lot of what they've learned on HGTV and what homeowners might be thinking, but don't know how to talk about. And this is why the marketing materials are so important. Really good real estate agents know, I love this quote, we're trying to paint a picture for the buyer about why they want to come in and see this home. That's what really good real estate agents know how to do. I spend a lot of time reading MLS comments. I urge you to all do the same. I've learned a lot of new adjectives, but just to get an idea of how real estate agents are talking about things and trying to paint a picture for a house. So now I'm going to tell you a quick case study about 2 homes, one that had the proper marketing materials and one that did not. For those of you paying attention, I am the Brookstein in the Brookstein home. This story does not reflect well on me. Okay, so the Harmon home are my friends, Jean and John. And actually, Jean's last name is Krashiski, but I don't know how to spell it. Here that we both put our homes on the market at different times, but here were the things that were all the same. Our homes were both about 100 years old. We lived in the same neighborhood. We had the same really amazing real estate agent. We had the same upgrades for the most part, and we both had Illinois Home Performance with Energy Star certificates for our homes. Those were the similarities. Here's what happened. When I put my house on the market, which I did first, I used my Illinois Home Performance with Energy Star certificate, which I love and have a photo of in my phone in case anyone would like to see it. No one has asked me, but you never know. So here's what Joe said. Joe's my real estate agent. Joe, so we had this out, we had this sitting out for the showings. And Joe said, this was more trouble than it was worth. People were confused by the wording. I had to spend a lot of time trying to talk about something I don't really understand. So that was his experience with my house. Here's what the Harmons did. When they were putting their house on the market, I said, you know what? You've had a lot of really good work done. Let's get this home Pearl certified. Let's see how this goes. Amy will talk much more later about Pearl certification, but what Pearl partly does is they provide a robust set of marketing materials that are turnkey, that are ready to go, so that real estate agents, even when they're really, really, really good, they don't know how to talk about everything, and they do have to be concerned with liability, which I had in that slide up front. Real estate agents are very concerned about liability and what they can say. So here, this was all said by some third party, and it explained the benefits of, a sealed attic hatch, which not that exciting if you're outside of this room, super exciting if you are in this room, but most buyers just don't care. So these marketing materials help explain why these upgrades were such a good thing and how they would change the experience of the homeowner outside of energy efficient. The real estate agent, Joe, he had some coaching, and there was a report and a letter for the appraiser. Things go south during the appraisal all the time. I'm not going to talk about that today too much, but that is something that happens. So here's what happened with Jean and John's home. It sold in 28 days at full list price with a backup offer over list. Joe, the agent, credits the success to the marketing material and the report that was provided to the appraiser. So the marketing material up front for him and for the home buyers going through. Side note, and maybe one day someone can take me out, and if you want to know the whole story, I did not move or sell my home. Very long, sad story, but you'd have to ply me with a lot of alcohol. So here was the homeowner and agent experience during the appraisal. The home was appraised at the full list price. The appraiser actually said, I could not have done this without the material that was provided to me. That's what he told Joe. So what went right? The real estate agent had some support. Like I said, I work with hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents every year, and they come to class and they're excited. Anybody who comes to a class on high performing homes has to have some interest in that. And they come in excited and they leave a little bit like deer in the headlights because they just don't know how to talk about these things. So to give a real estate agent support is a really good thing. We can't expect them to know everything about everything, especially when HGTV is telling people that they need an open floor plan, gray walls, and white kitchen cabinets. The higher listing price was key. We can't get a higher appraisal if we don't list the price for more. So Joe had been coached. He had pulled his own comps and said, this is what I should list the house at given what's going on in the marketplace, but I'm going to list this house for 10% more, which is what he did. And then he was given that full range of documents for the appraiser to help the appraiser do the right thing. And also, again, liability. liability is, I used to work in bicycle advocacy, and whenever somebody didn't want to do something, the first through third reasons were liability. And it's a real concern out there. And that is my presentation. I am really glad that I was here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. And just, it's nice to know that we coordinated so nicely in our dresses. If you're looking for the redhead and the flowered dress, you're gonna have to be a little more specific, I think. So hi, everyone. I'm Amy Belay. I'm the Vice President of Public-Private Partnerships. And I'm gonna talk with you a bit about the work that we are doing here in the state of Missouri. But first, before I do that, I wanna give you a little bit of background on Pearl, so you have better context. Oops. There we go. So Pearl's mission is to improve the housing stock in the United States by changing the way houses are improved, bought, and sold. And we do this with a trained network of contractors. Down, you're right, it is backwards. We do this through a trained network of contractors and real estate agents. We have now certified actually 93,000 homes as of this morning in 41 states. We're doing about 1,000 homes a week at this point. It was really important when we built our certification system and the products that support it to make sure that we aligned with the industries that we serve, their standards, best practices, but their standards and best practices. So we partnered with the National Association of Realtors, who is an investor in our company, Energy Star, Department of Energy, and the Appraisal Institute to ensure that we do just that. And we've also built a great network of partners in the manufacturer and distributor area because they see a real opportunity to help fill a need for their high performing, they call them dealers or contractors, to be able to differentiate and stand apart from their competition. And in the work we're doing in the public-private partnerships section of our organization, we've been building partnerships with mission-based organizations that help serve the needs of the states and municipalities that we want to work with. And Renew Missouri is a partner that we'll talk more about, and James will also have an opportunity to speak. So if you think about the typical home value cycle, Pamela hit on this very nicely. If you just ask a homeowner what they care about, it's things like granite countertops. So if you're a homeowner and you're thinking about improving your home and you want to make improvements to your kitchen, you're going to put in granite countertops because you think that's going to add value. And then the home goes on the market. A potential home buyer sees those granite countertops and is willing to pay more than a house that doesn't because they see value in that. What we're doing is tapping into that value cycle and making the typically invisible features of the home visible and valued at the time of sale. And we do this through our certification report that documents the features and the benefits of the high performing features of that home. It's that translation that Pamela talked about for the homeowner to understand why they should care about these things, for the appraiser and the real estate agent to also be able to use to market and value those homes accordingly. Each certification report comes with the Appraisal Institute's Green and Energy Efficient Appraisal Addendum. This is that translation for the appraiser to be able to understand what's in the house, what's behind the walls, and assign a value to it. And the whole point of this is to drive market transformation for homeowners to make different decisions in their homes and for them to reap the benefits and build value in their homes. So we commissioned several studies across the country to see, do Pearl certified homes actually sell for more? And they are, in fact, commanding between a 3 and 5.5% premium. And that's even during the hottest market in a long time earlier this year. Once the homeowner receives a certification report, they also get an invitation to Green Door, which is our homeowner portal. And this is an opportunity for the homeowner to see other opportunities to build value in their home or make additional improvements that impact the energy efficiency, comfort, and performance of that home. It's a way to kind of stay in front of the homeowner over time. So when they're ready to make, when they need to address an emergency situation, like their furnace is broken or their water heater is broken, that they can find a good quality contractor, they can find rebates that are available to them, financing opportunities, and then connect with a real estate agent when they're ready to sell their home. So we've been focused for the last 5 years on the private sector, intentionally staying away from working in the public sector because we wanted to build out a way to truly transform the marketplace, to get homeowners to make different decisions, to get contractors to sell and install higher performing products and equipment. And now we see a great opportunity to take those learnings and support the public sector and the great work that's happening in states like Missouri. What we're doing is really creating evergreen programs that will persist after public dollars are available for incentives and rebates. And I think it's worth kind of taking a moment to just spotlight the amount of money that's about to flood this space through the Infrastructure Act and the Inflation Reduction Act. It's going to be $13 billion focused on residential energy efficiency. This is an unprecedented amount of money and a huge opportunity for us to have a real impact in the marketplace. It's worth noting that in the homes rebate section of the legislation, there's a requirement that there's a third-party certification that documents the improvements and ties it to home value, which is what Pearl does. And we anticipate that's going to be extended to the high efficiency electrified homes rebates as well. So what we're doing in Missouri is really helping the state prepare to take advantage of those opportunities should they choose to do so. So getting more specific about what we're doing here. So we are creating a statewide program that's called Renew Missouri Homes. And we're creating an ecosystem of trained agents, appraisers, contractors, and builders to be able to improve homes to make them high performing and sell them, and to drive consumer awareness for high performing homes and for the Missouri Home Energy Certification. And just to give a little bit of background of kind of how this came to be. Missouri DNR really ahead of their time in coming up with a Missouri State Certificate to work to tie those high performing features to the home value. They've been doing that for several years and sought to transfer that program to the private sector. So they reached out to Renew Missouri, who in turn partnered with Pearl. And so now we are one of the scoring mechanisms for that certificate. So for homes that qualify for this in Missouri, they'll receive a Pearl certification report and the Missouri State Certificate. And they'll also be listed on the Green Building Registry. So there's a lot of great effort that's happening in the state. There's great incentives that are established from the utilities. There's some excellent work that's happening through the MOSEP initiative and through Missouri DNR. And there's a lot of great contractors in this market as well. And they're all kind of targeting different elements of this much larger problem of building high performing homes in a marketplace for them. And what we're aiming to do is weave all of those pieces together. So it's a seamless process for the homeowner to find a quality contractor to make the improvements to their home, to find a real estate agent that can help them sell that home and capture the value of the features that the benefits that they've been able to improve upon, and essentially build out the workforce for that. And I'm going to break down into pieces each of the elements of what we're doing here in the state and in partnership with Renew Missouri. So the first element is a public education campaign. So there'll be elements that are kind of more conventional in nature, like social media, Facebook, web, internet marketing. We'll also be doing some more earned media and find opportunities for like ribbon cuttings, especially when it comes to being able to promote the Missouri State Certificate as well as Pearl certification to start driving consumer awareness. We are actively right now building up the contractor network in the state. We currently have 4 contractors in Missouri and several others that are likely to join here in the next couple of months. And they really see this as an opportunity to take advantage of a statewide program to be able to offer that state certificate and take advantage of the marketing and public awareness that we are building as a part of this program. Pamela touched on this already. The real estate agent training that we partnered with MEA and Elevate to deliver. Those trainings are happening next week and then into September as well, I believe. And then the agents that kind of raise their hands and say, hey, I'm really interested in learning more about the statewide program, will get some additional training from Pearl and Renew Missouri on how to take advantage of the state certificate and the statewide program. We're also working in partnership with MEA to establish appraisal trainings, which are already on the books. I believe they are in September. And this is, again, all about building up the workforce of trained contractors, agents, and appraisers, so that when these homes come on the market, appraisers have the tools they need to be able to assign value to it. And the agents have the great marketing packet that comes along with it. And this is obviously a very big, important element to all of this, to make sure that these homes can be listed accordingly. And we know that this work really starts at the ground level. So identifying agents that are passionate about this, that start asking for these fields, is sort of the first step to making this transition for the multiple listing service here in Missouri. And we're going to work in partnership with Elevate and Earth Advantage to be able to move this forward. This is probably a multi-year effort to make this happen. So Pearl is also partnered with eUtility, and we have, so every pay as you saves program project receives a Pearl certification, and that's true here in the state of Missouri through the Ameren and as well as some of the rural co-ops. So there's already some groundswell of demand that's starting to build up, and some public awareness, because the certifications are flowing through that program. And then there's a couple other pieces that are opportunities to make this program more robust. One is the ability to work with the state on setting up a revolving loan fund. We have a great partner through the National Energy Improvement Fund, which is a B Corp ethical lender who has all of the infrastructure in place to be able to stand up a revolving loan fund, help take advantage of the Infrastructure Act and the IRA. And then the other piece that I think is really important and valuable is aligning this program with the great work that's already happening with the utilities. So, at the very least, being able to tell homeowners who are engaging with the program, what are the rebates that are available to me? What are the incentives that I might be, or the financing options that I might be able to take advantage of, to really help us all drive our goals forward. What we're doing here is trying to magnify what you're already doing in this marketplace and help you be a lot more successful in achieving those goals, and give you opportunities to get back in front of those homeowners to take advantage of more opportunities to save energy in those homes. So the official launch will be on October 1st. We'll have the web content, the web page live. We are standing up an industry advisory council, which will be made up of industry professionals who are impacted by the program, to make sure that what we're creating is actually going to work for the marketplace. If you're interested in being a part of that, I would love to talk with you about it. And really, I would invite you to join this conversation. The more activities that we can weave into this to make it a seamless process for homeowners, the more impactful and successful we're all going to be in achieving our goals and helping homeowners take advantage of living in and selling high-performing homes. This is my contact information up here, and I'll be here all day. I would love to talk more with you if you are interested. And with that, I will hand it over to James.
Oh, I'm going, oops, whoops, sorry. That's a sneak preview for later. Don't mind that. There we go. Oh, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Okay, I didn't make my own slides. She had such good slides, I didn't want to add to it. We're supposed to be done with this conversation at 10. Is that right? Who has this guy? 10:15? Okay, great.
James, use your microphone.
Oh, I'm usually so loud, most people don't need it. For me. But yeah, since I missed my introduction, I just want to introduce myself. I'm James Owen. I'm the executive director of Renew Missouri. We're a 501c3 that is based in Columbia. We also have offices in Kansas City, St. Louis, and what we will be announcing next week in Springfield. So we are very much trying to cover the entire state. Most of you, if you know us in this room, know us as an advocacy group. You know us from our appearing in front of the Public Service Commission as interveners. You might know us because we lobby before the Missouri General Assembly to the extent we can as a 501c3. We are limited to that, but that's where a lot of you might know us. It might be a surprise to some to see that we are partnering with Pearl to kind of do something that's kind of more marketing based, that's sort of more based in the real estate world, into individual homes. But for me, and I kind of want to tell our side of the story about why we got involved with this. And that story is also going to be a little bit of a pitch that's going to kind of piggyback off what Amy was talking about. When we started the conversation about the opportunity with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, you know, what seemed logical to me from our perspective is that we as an organization are trying to make energy efficiency available and accessible to all Missourians. And it is our belief that if you can make that appealing to homeowners, to people who own investment properties, to small businesses, that's going to be yet another thing that you can add on top of the fact that it is cost effective, that it enhances the health and security of your home, that it ultimately reduces the output of carbon that our utilities put into the air. There are so many benefits to energy efficiency. And as already been said here before, especially emphasized with the first presentation, you know, the investor-owned utilities have certainly really stepped up to the plate to, over the past decade, to really put rebates and programs and products that available to all customers to make that a reality. We think that is really promising. We think that the work the city of Columbia through its municipal utility has done is really promising. The other utilities in the state, we are constantly trying to work with, that includes the other municipal utilities as well as the rural electric cooperatives, to try to make sure they are doing what they can to make energy efficiency programs and products available to their customers, but that has been a challenge. So trying to make that appealing to them is also something that we see benefit with this. But it is going to require uniformity. We're all different here. This is Missouri. We like to do things our own way. What Ameren or Evergy or Liberty does is going to obviously be different than what Associated Electric does or what the city of Springfield does, et cetera. And so trying to make sure that we are not only able to reach out to real estate professionals like Pamela is doing, or to reach out to contractors like Pearl is doing, but we're trying to make sure that all of these people, utility stakeholders, policymakers, customers, and professionals are all kind of moving together in one direction. That is kind of the promise and potential that we believe Renew Missouri Homes has the ability to accomplish. And I think that's just going to be a matter of us all working together. One of the things that when we talk about this, sort of atmosphere of parties here, is making sure that we're all on the same page. And we mentioned something about this contractor network that is going to be discussed, is being put together. This is very preliminary. As is mentioned, Pearl's working with 4 contractors right now. We are trying to do more to reach out. This network, what we envision is it not only being a place where people from all over the state can learn from one another, but it can also be a place where they are able to reference and make sure that they are able to make sure that their fellow members are able to get opportunities. If you're someone in St. Joseph and you know a customer who has a problem in Washington, Missouri, well, then you might know someone in that same network that's an opportunity there. Moreover, we're also acutely aware of the fact that a network of contractors, a network of energy efficiency experts, a network of auditors is not going to work unless the utilities and other policymakers are involved. This has been attempted in the past without input from utilities and without input from policymakers, and it just hasn't worked because there's not that level playing field there. There's not a level of trust. We understand that level playing field and that trust is critical to not only that network working, but also Renew Missouri Homes working to make sure that the same metrics are being used and the same considerations are being factored in. These are all things that we want the utilities to be involved with. We want policymakers like the Division of Energy and city leaders from the municipal utilities, as well as rural electric cooperative member owner leadership like the board of directors. We want them all involved. They need to be involved because there's no point in having these programs and products available to the public, to ratepayers, that has got to be done by these contractors, by these auditors, without having that that coordination. And more importantly, one thing that maybe we do not think about enough when we see all of this IRA money, the money that was just referred to, that's going to be coming into our marketplace as well as around the country. But that's going to certainly be available to a lot of Missouri residents. It's going to be available to a lot of Missouri utilities. Is who's going to do this? You know, there's a lot of people doing energy efficiency contract work. There's people doing auditors, but just like anything else, we've seen a shortage in the workplace. We've seen a shortage of not only people willing to do this work, but people who are skilled to do this work. Where is that going to come from? How is that going to be coordinated? Could this network not be the place where that's being done? Just 2 weeks ago, we were talking to some educators that are working on building sciences in St. Louis and Kansas City. They have opportunities there. They're doing work there, but they'll tell you no one is doing that work in Springfield. No one is doing that work in Joplin. So my immediate response, being someone who is originally from Southwest Missouri, was to reach out to the educational institutions in those towns to start working on developing a framework for building science and building performance seminars, lectures, classes to be taught there and to be available to not only the public, but also to students. Because when that money comes, it's going to be a question of how are we going to use it? Is the state of Missouri going to be able to work with the private industries to make sure that workforce development is available? Because it's not, because that money is not going to go anywhere. These improvements cannot be made unless we have the ability to put those resources where they are needed. And so I'm very hopeful that as we sit here and we are aware that these changes are happening, that this policy is moving forward, that we're thinking about those things. That money is not going to show up on our doorstep tomorrow, but it's going to be coming very soon once those federal rules get promulgated to talk about how that's going to get distributed to each and every state. And so we want to be ready. I think this network can help us get ready for that. I think they are going to be able to find more people to do this. I think they're going to be able to engage more people to do it. And so, you know, in addition to just looking at this as a marketing opportunity, I see this as an opportunity to build out, you know, this profession, to build out this industry, to put more Missourians to work. I really do believe that is something that is going to be necessary. And I believe it's going to ultimately be something that's a net positive for the state, no matter what you think about this infusion of federal money coming. It is coming. We need to be ready for it. And it's a way that Missouri can benefit from it. But moreover, you know, it also is very critical, you know, with this network, with this project, that we are talking about how utility companies are going to be putting out these programs, how they're going to be doing that. I mean, as was already mentioned about pay as you save, that's a very exciting project that now all the major electric companies, IOUs, and all the major gas IOUs, or specifically Spire and Ameren Gas, are launching pay as you save programs. These contractors and auditors are already going into these homes and doing these measurements, trying to figure out what updates and upgrades are available to them. And more importantly, and more critically, for what advocates like Renew Missouri is worried about, is what kind of walkaway issues are being presented by these homes and by these apartments that's going to make pay as you save not a viable option for some residents. How are we going to address that? How are we going to address issues like asbestos and lead paint that can't be covered by a pay as you save tariff, but still is an impediment to being able to do that work? Where is that money going to come from? Is that something that's going to be available through the IRA? Is that something that any one of these people in this little circle are going to be able to address? We got to be thinking about all of those things. And moreover, we also have to be keeping a mindful eye on what that means for customers. Yes, it's one thing to say that a a pay-as-you-save participant is going to be Pearl certified. It's another thing to say whether or not that customer wants to be on a list and wants to be on a registry. How do we deal with that? Does the Public Service Commission allow investor-owned utilities to give customers that option? Is that something that's going to be contemplated in the next Ameren rate case or the Evergy rate case, which some of us in this room know is starting 2 weeks from yesterday? Those are things that we need to be talking about, like how we're ensuring consumer protection is going to be available. Does that mean that we have to do opt-ins rather than opt-outs? Does that make that harder to put people on the registry? And moreover, one of the things that we've been talking to municipal utilities about is whether or not new laws that go into effect on August 28th involving the disclosure of personally identifiable information for utility customers, and that being a closed record now, or will be a closed record now, what impact that has on the ability to have this list. How are we going to be able to really make this work with those things having to be kept in mind, which are important. And certainly something, you know, since I've worked in the consumer protection realm involving utilities, certainly something I'm thinking about. And do I have an answer for that? I don't have an answer for that. But I think that there's a number of people in this room that might have some ideas and thoughts on how that might work. And I might have some ideas on thoughts on how that might work, whether they're right or wrong. We should be sitting down and talking about it. I think that's where this network also presents an opportunity. I think where this project presents an opportunity to have those conversations, which we need to have, because ultimately, you know, when you think about what benefit this does to the public, is this just something that's a matter of virtue signaling? Is this something where someone feels good about the fact that they have their house on this list? Well, I would argue it's more than that. As someone who has, in the past 10 years, moved within the state, I used to live in Springfield. I now live in Columbia. One of the things I wanted to look at when I was shopping for a house was, what's my utility bill going to look like? Is my house going to be something that just blows out air all the time? Is that going to be something that I have to factor in addition to my mortgage payment every month? Is how high my utility bill is going to be? I mean, quite frankly, more people pay a utility bill than they pay taxes in this country. So we really should be thinking about like how we are making this something that is an affordable housing issue. And this is not just energy efficiency. This is not just altruism for the earth. This is something that is actually a dollars and cents issue for most people. And it does matter to their bottom line. It does matter to the energy burden they're facing every month when they're looking at how much of their utility bill is overall coming out of their household budget. These things do have a pragmatic, practical outcome. And I think it's important for us to realize this is not just about curb appeal. This is not just about making sure that people are able to show that they've done this work, but it's also going to be something where they can actually point to something that is going to be of benefit to a future buyer, and making sure that list stays current and making sure that those rules and those standards are uniform across the state if we can. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to get everybody involved, but I think if we have a network large enough, this will actually be something that is very beneficial to people looking to buy homes, looking to move within the state, looking to find a community where they might move from another state to here. I do think that that's something that people are looking for and that people care about. And so what I'd ask you is, if you're interested in this, you know, not just reaching out to Pearl, but also reaching out to me. Some of you have my contact information. I have a whole bunch of business cards here that I hope that if you are able to grab me on the next break or at the next opportunity, I would love to talk to you about how you can be involved, whether you're a contractor, whether you're an auditor, whether you're someone who works for a utility, whether you're somebody who works for a state office. We need you involved. We need you engaged. And that's my pitch. I really do hope that after you've seen this litany of information about the foundation for why these things are important, why it's important from a utilities perspective and from a realtor perspective and from the public's perspective, you can put all of that together and say, well, this isn't just useful. Well, this is something for me, but it's also going to be useful for the public. And I know sometimes that the public is seen as kind of an amorphous concept for the work we're doing, but this is something that I think really will have a tangible benefit. And with that, I think, are we open for questions? So I can sit down and be quiet? Okay, thank you for listening.
Yes, grab another chair. That mic doesn't necessarily move, so you may want to have to stand up and move around to it. So are there any questions in the room? We start off. All right, if while people are putting those together, all of you touched on certain types of homes, some new build, some that are existing and retrofits. Can you dive a little bit deeper into how Pearl works with the new build versus the retrofits?
So we work with builders, and we're actually focused on building out our new construction division. We've been working with builders for several years, but our primary focus has been on the retrofit side of things, just because there are so many more existing homes than there are new construction. But there's a real opportunity to get in front of the builders, because they see this as a marketing tool, as a way to help them, especially the high performing builders, be able to move the market, move their inventory, and be able to recover the costs of building high performing homes. As it pertains to how it will fit into here, it's something that we're still sort of building out. We will be building a trained network of raters and certifiers who can work with builders to be able to certify their homes, and are actively looking for builders in the state right now to bring into this program.
Real quick, when it comes to PAYS or PACE, as an example, residential PACE, much bigger in California and Florida. Not sure if Pearl has done that. A lot of times those folks are making contact for one thing, right? Their HVAC broke and they need that, or their roof is damaged. How, if you are only looking to make your house work again, quote unquote, do you get from that point to a certification?
Yeah, so we work with contractors who do single trade work. So we have some great high quality HVAC contractors, for example, and they certify the work that they do in the home. So that allows the homeowner to choose a higher quality contractor to solve that break fix issue. And then it starts them on the journey of what else can I do in the home? So our homeowner portal includes what we call a home investment plan, which is essentially a roadmap for the homeowner to continue to build value, make their house more comfortable and energy efficient, and connect with different types of contractors if they're looking for somebody to do insulation, for example, or solar.
It's been referenced a couple of times on the trainings that we're sponsoring that Pamela teaches and an appraiser training. So I just wanted to mention, you can come find me if you're interested in finding out more of those. And on the MIA website, we have a list of the dates and the specific trainings that are coming up. The appraiser training that Amy mentioned is honestly, it's an Appraisal Institute curriculum, but it's really a great resource for contractors, builders, architects, lenders. We'd love to get the word out more about that. So come find me, look at the MIA website, and thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I should have included that. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Are we, I guess, Tim, James, are you all seeing a growth in the number of developers looking to do high efficiency, high performing net zero homes in Missouri? Any communities you'd like to highlight that are focusing on this topic?
I'm seeing some, but not enough. I mean, why do I want to reinvent the wheel that I've been using for so long? It's being stuck in the paradigms of the past, and we just got to break it. They don't understand life cycle costing typically. And at least that's my experience in trying to discuss this with developers. It's, you know, that's further down the road. Oh, no, you got to bring it forward.
Yeah.
I also think what's missing right there is homeowner awareness of why they should care about those things. Is I think the builders would get more on board if the homeowners were actively asking for it. So having something that actually showcases those great features as benefits for the homeowner, I think is a major driver. And it's a big piece of what Pamela was talking about in her research.
Yes. James, do you have any insight on new developments for net zero or high efficiency homes?
All I can say is I think that there are some untapped markets in the state, and I think this network will flush that out. Are we finding them now? I am not seeing them now, but I think that's just because we do not have the mechanism to have them brought to the surface.
I had a quick question. Pamela, I loved your research. We heard a little bit about it yesterday. I was so excited to hear more about it today. I was curious if you had any other insights that were gleaned from that you think would be helpful for folks that are trying to either clarify that communication between homeowner and real estate agent, or, you know, how do we progress that conversation?
The problem is that people typically don't study for things that aren't on the test. And because homeowners are not asking for these things from their real estate agents don't feel that they have the time or the need to learn about this, because it's important to remember real estate agents are all small business people. They're all small business owners, and they have to do what they can to build their own business. So what's really helpful when I talk to real estate agents is when I can show them a map that illustrates the inventory, that shows how many of these homes exist. One of the things I've been doing even is pulling rebates that have been given out for high efficiency HVAC. Those numbers can be really tough to find. They should be like screamed from the top of the towers. And when I tell real estate agents that at least in the city of Chicago, around 22,000 people a year, those are only the ones who are getting their rebates back. About it's 27,000 a year are paying more for a highly efficient HVAC system. They're stunned because they don't know that anybody's doing that. These numbers should be really, really easy to find. Maps are helpful. Visuals are always helpful. Where are these homes? And you don't have to use any PII. Just zip code data is a really good engagement tool for real estate agents. Also, I will say the whole like keeping up with the Joneses, that's helpful too. That's actually how I decided that I needed a high efficiency furnace. As I went to my neighbor's house, I saw she had a high efficiency furnace. She did not know that. And I just thought, oh my God, my furnace is probably 70% efficient. And so that was part of my reasoning. If you see other people doing it, you're more likely to do it.
Question. I wondered if you could talk about the nuances between primarily the Kansas City and St. Louis market, but you can also talk about other cities like Springfield, Columbia, where you see a lot of concentration of single family housing. Do you see some nuance in terms of what you're hearing from realtors or how things are priced?
Not exactly, but what's important to remember is that all real estate really is local, and it's hyper local. So real estate agents and appraisers respond more favorably to appraiser-led studies that are done with small data sets in very discrete areas. One of my very first focus groups I did with real estate agents, I said, does anyone believe there's a high performing home premium? I worded it differently, but they all said, no, not in our area. And so I said, well, there's these studies that have been done in California and Virginia that show there is a premium. And they said, that's California and Virginia. We're in Chicago, and Chicago's huge. it can't even be the north side to the south side. It has to be very, very discrete areas. So these appraiser-led studies that there's one that's on Elevate's site, those are just good for talking points to help people start to understand how to value these properties. But I will tell you, generally in the Midwest, real estate agents say to me, there is absolutely no premium for these homes. And so I have to get over that. I have to work through that with them.
And I would just add real quick to that, since Renew is engaged on this and started talking to realtors from Columbia, from Springfield, from Kansas City and St. Louis, you know, anybody who's dealt with a house here in the past year has known that the demand for that market is extremely high. You're talking about houses lasting on the market for hours rather than days or weeks or months. You know, the expectation, if you want to buy a house, you got to be willing to pay well over what the listing price is. When you've got that kind of demand, these distinctions aren't nearly as critical. And, you know, like what's in a house or what will distinguish it from another unit on the market is going to be a lot different. Now, I think that is starting to cool down, and that's what the indication is. That market is slowing down after it heated up, and the interest rate changes will have an impact on that. And so it is hopeful that we will know more about how this distinguishes one house from another coming forward. And so I believe that this might be coming at a really opportune time when we're getting off of like what is considered a really hot market. At least that's been my perspective in talking to people.
Well, please, all join me in thanking Tim, Pamela, Amy, and James for our first session. Everybody know PowerPoints, if you're online or here, will be made available both on YouTube, broken up, and presentations sessions, as well as the PowerPoints. Next up, we do have a session focused on heat pump adoption in Missouri and the Midwest. But first, I wanted to share some words from our conference sponsor, Ameren Missouri.
Energy efficiency is extremely important to the district. As we look at our financial challenges that many school districts face, one of my first questions is there's